Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel PHYSICSSIRJEE, and here we are in the Pathfinder solution series, and I've brought forward to you two questions from the textbook of Pathfinder on a similar looking concept, right? So there are multiple solutions for these two problems on the internet, and you can actually solve them using different methods, but the kind of method that I'm going to present to you will give you a quick insight into how to approach these kind of problems and solve them slightly quicker and in a logical manner instead of going through a lengthier solution. Okay, so these are the problems involving a slack thread being released, and just after that slack thread becomes taut, the conditions of either velocity or acceleration are asked. Okay, so let's go ahead and check each of these in sequence. Okay, so first one is from the topic of impulse and momentum from the book, Build Your Understanding, question number 3. And the second one is from the Newton's laws of motion, check your understanding, 21. So both the problems are actually, even though from two different chapters, are related to the same concept, and I try to name this concept as the effective pendulum method. And I should thank one of my colleagues, Nitin Sinha sir, who has introduced me to this particular method. Okay, so I have been solving this question in a different manner, so this video is attributed to him, and thanks to him for the help that he has provided in bringing this particular method to you all students. Okay, so you want to give it a try, just pause the video here, go for these two questions on your own, and then come back. I'll start with the concept first, and then we'll go in sequence of explanation for each of these solutions. And also during the video, I'll be giving you one practice problem on the extension of this question number 3 of build up your understanding. Okay, so here's the formal wording. A thin, light, inextensible, frictionless cord of length L wearing a small bead is tied between two nails that are at the same level, at distance of 0.5 L from each other apart. Initially, the bead is held close to a nail and released. So I've chosen a diagram here. Actual diagram is not there in the book. This is for just our visual explanation. Okay, so this is the thread which is connected to the two nails, and the bead is released from here. Okay, so find the speed of the bead immediately after the cord becomes taut. Okay, so this bead is going to fall under gravity, and by the time it reaches here, the entire thread goes through the speed and becomes taut for the first time. Okay, so this distance initially between the two nails is half the length of the uh, cord that is given to us. Okay, so that's L by 2. So let's move ahead. And the concept that I wanted to call it as effective pendulum method involves, so first we'll try to take up a simpler situation, right? Instead of a bead, just imagine a pendulum bob and a thread connected, right? And one end is fixed, and this is in a vertical plane. And imagine I release this bob by keeping the thread in a slack position. We all know that the bob is going to fall vertically down and reach a position till the thread actually becomes taut for the first time. Just before the thread becomes taut, the velocity of the bob would be vertically downwards and is v. And just after it is taut, we can argue that for a perfectly inelastic thread, this thread being perfectly inelastic, the impulsive tension, the tension will be impulsive, right? It will be a sudden large value when it becomes taut, prevents any component of velocity along the thread. So if this v just before taut can be resolved into two components, one is v cos theta perpendicular to the thread, and v sine theta which is along the thread, it completely kills that v sine theta component because the thread cannot extend itself. Okay, this is possible only for a perfectly inelastic or a so-called ideal thread. Okay, right. So in a non-ideal case, how the thread behaves and all, I'll discuss that later. But for the given situation, it's the only v cos theta that survives. So if you can get this angle theta and this value v, immediately after the condition of becoming taut, the speed would be v cos theta, and the direction of it would be perpendicular to the thread direction. So this is the concept number 1. That's for the first question. The second question, where we'll be asked about acceleration. Okay, so also if we leave the pendulum, instead of leaving it from here, imagine I catch the pendulum here and leave it here at velocity is equal to 0. So I repeat, this is a new situation. Again, if I leave the pendulum ball here with the thread just taut, then with velocity is equal to 0, the initial acceleration of the ball can be considered to be g cos theta in this direction, which is again perpendicular to the tension T, right? So because the v square by r value would be 0, right? So acceleration in any circular kind of a motion would be of two components. One is the tangential acceleration, which is g cos theta, and the centripetal acceleration, which is v square by length L, where in that particular scenario, if I had released the bob here, right, then the acceleration would be g cos theta. So these are the two different concepts that we will be applying in those two problems that I already gave. Okay, so this can now be extended to a net effective tension in a general case. So in this simple situation that I explained, there's only one thread to the bob and there's only one impulsive tension. Imagine this were a bead and the thread goes through this and goes into two different directions. So then the tension would be the multiple valued on the FBD of this bead. So if I put the bead and I get multiple directions of tension, my job would be now to calculate the net effective tension. And same logic of the impulsive net effective tension can be used in that scenario. So how will that first point become? Whatever is the effective tension, the direction of component of velocity only perpendicular to that net effective tension will be allowed. Same is the idea with the acceleration if you release it from rest just after the thread is taut. Okay, so that net effective tension, I call it as effective pendulum idea. Okay, so let's move forward with the question number 3. So the solution for that question, if you carefully observe, the bead actually starts coming down. The thread is fixed here and here. You should realize that. That's the difference between the pendulum in the previous case and the bead threaded through this. Okay, so the bead starts coming down, and by the time the thread reaches its natural length, passing through the bead like this, which I have depicted here. So this is your thread going through the bead and then comes here. It forms a nice right angle triangle here, with this being L by 2. As you could see, the sum of these lengths total should be L, which is the natural length of the thread just before it becomes taut. Imagine this is the angle theta that I have to solve for. Okay, so this would be L by 2 secant theta, this would be L by 2 tan theta. Now if I draw the free body diagram of the bead here, the tension would be having two values acting on the bead impulsively at that instant. Okay, so both the values should be T, because he has given that the bead is frictionless. Okay, right, and which means the net effective tension would be acting along the angular bisector of this particular triangle depicted by this red line. Okay, so if this is theta, this entire thing is 90 minus theta. So each of these half angles would be pi by 4 minus theta by 2. Now, going by that effective pendulum idea, if the effective tension impulsively is acting this way, then the velocity immediately after the thread becomes taut should be perpendicular not to this blue line, not to this blue line, but to this angular bisector line, which is in this direction. So the idea is, since the bead is going to go under a free fall, just before the thread is taut, it falls under a gravity of depth L by 2 tan theta. Therefore, the speed just before taut should be root 2g h, h being L by 2 tan theta. And just after it is taut, it should be the component of this v in this direction, which we'll evaluate by getting the value of theta. To get this value of theta, I'll use the constraint relation of the length. Okay, sum of these two sides should be L, is what I wrote here. And if I rearrange, I'll get secant plus tan is 2. We know secant plus tan how to solve. We get secant minus tan, which is the inverse of this, because secant square minus tan square is 1. Therefore, this should be half. Manipulating these two, you'll end up getting secant theta is equal to 5 by 4, and that should be theta is 37 degrees. So since theta is 37 degrees, which I can substitute here, the value of v prime just after taut should be v cos of this angle, right? Now v, I'll substitute from here. I'll have a square root of this entire stuff coming here, and cos also I'll try to bring under the square root. Can you see this very carefully, the way we are going to manipulate? So the idea is to smartly take this 2 and the cos square of this angle and write it as the double angle. Okay, so 2 cos square theta is 1 plus cos 2 theta. So cos of 90 plus theta is a minus sine theta, and therefore tan theta is 3 by 4 and minus sine theta is minus 3 by 5, and the square root taken properly will yield the answer given in the book, which is root 3gl divided by 20. And what's the direction? Direction is along the direction perpendicular to the resultant tension, which is this line. Okay, so I hope you understood the way we elaborated this particular value. Next one. So before we move on to the next question, I would like you to think about a particular situation. Imagine this problem is modified a bit. Okay, so the one that we just solved here is talking about light inextensible, and if nothing is mentioned, always the cord is considered to be perfectly inelastic. Okay, so that is E is equal to 0 type of a cord. Okay, right. So what if I ask you a question that it is inextensible but a perfectly elastic cord, that means there is no loss of energy, then what would be your answer be immediately after, both in magnitude and direction? Please do comment your answer below. Okay, so in case I'm not going to take up any video on this, so I would just give you a hint for this one. The idea is embedded in one of the previous videos where I nicely and elaborately explained the idea of a perfectly elastic thread. Elastic, but it's inextensible. It's also a question from the Pathfinder book of momentum and impulse. Just try to watch this video. The link is in the description below or in the I button above. Just try to watch it in case you are new to the channel. Okay, so let's move on to the next question that's waiting for us. Okay, so here's the one. So you want to apply it, the concept that I have just now told you. You can pause the video again, here again, have a nice try, and then go ahead with the solution. So this is going to be a cakewalk. Even though it's a check your understanding question, this would be even more easier than the previous one once you understand the effective pendulum method. Okay, so here's the formal wording. One end of a light inextensible cord is attached to a nail A. Okay, here on the ceiling, the cord passes through a frictionless hole of a small bead P. So this cord goes through this way. There's a hole here. It passes through that, and frictionless hole of small bead P. Thereafter, it passes through two ideal pulleys. So it goes around two ideal pulleys, then comes back, and then it is tied here. So I'll go ahead again. So this is the cord, same cord, entire thing is the same cord. It goes to the hole, then goes over the pulley C, then pulley B, and then comes here, and then it is tied here. So it's only tied at one place. Other two parts is just going through the hole. Okay, so finally the other end is attached to the bead, right? And initially the bead is held at rest with cord segments AP and BP making alpha and beta with the horizontal. Can you see this AP BP parts are making angle with the horizontal while keeping the segment CP vertical as shown in the figure. Find the acceleration of the bead immediately after it is released. You are assuming that the strings are just taut, and you're just releasing the bead. Immediately after the release, velocity is 0, but what is the acceleration both in magnitude and direction we would like to elaborate. Okay, so acceleration due to gravity is g in this vertical plane. Okay, so let's move ahead. Try to this can be solved using virtual work method, but I would like to emphasize on the effective pendulum idea to go through the logical solution in a single step. Okay, so here's the solution. So we all know that since this is a frictionless bead and it is the same thread, the tension in all these three segments is T, let's suppose. And immediately after release, if you draw the free body diagram of this bead, and assuming this has y-axis and this has x-axis for my convenience, then these tensions resultant in y and x directions can be written, right? So what is the y direction tension? This T will act as it is. This T will have a T sine beta, and this T will have a T sine alpha. So that's what I have written here. T plus T sine beta plus T sine alpha is the resultant tensions y component on the bead. Assume bead is drawn here. Then on similar lines, what is the x component of these tensions that are acting? This won't contribute, right? Whereas these two will contribute with a cos alpha and cos beta. So what is the effective tensions direction, right? Direction of effective tension is the resultant of these two components that you have. Imagine that it makes an angle theta with vertical like this, and this is T effective. We all know that the tan theta of this should be this component divided by this component. With T cancelling, the value of tan theta can be represented in cos alpha, cos beta, and sin alpha, sin beta. Keep that aside in your mind. Now, going by the same logic as the effective pendulum idea, if any pendulum is immediately released from rest, the initial acceleration of that pendulum would be purely tangential because the velocity is 0. The centripetal acceleration should not exist. So the direction of that acceleration is always perpendicular to the effective tension direction, which should be this green color line perpendicular to this green color line. And what's that acceleration? G of the cos of this angle. Since this has been mentioned as theta, this is theta, therefore this should be cos of 90 minus theta. So this is E sin theta. So the acceleration of the bob just immediately upon release is perpendicular to T effective. Value of it is sin theta. that is g sine theta, where tan theta, as I already told you, should be the ratio, appropriate ratio of these two yellow components. T gets cancelled and you end up getting the required result that is given in the book. In the book, the author nicely gives the answer as g sine theta, where tan theta is equal to. So he's expecting us to go through in a logical manner instead of just trying to write the solution in a lengthy virtual work or Newton's laws of motion type of equations. I hope you appreciate the way we approach this solution, and you'd be free to use this kind of a method to arrive at the answers much more quickly and in a logical manner in future also. Okay, so in case you have liked this Pathfinder solution video, please do check out the rest of the Pathfinder solution series that is running in the channel. The link of the entire playlist is in the description below or on the I button above. And in case you want to check out and try your hand at other series that are running, Olympiad workout series for the Olympiad aspirants covers a lot of other concepts, and previous Olympiad questions have been solved, quite a few of them, I think more than 20 of them as of now. AATS Select series picks questions from different uh, famous institute all India test series questions arranged at one place. So there also you'll have more than 20 questions have been solved now. Result series resolves the doubts that are usually not elaborated in the textbooks, and brilliant students usually come up with these kind of doubts that they don't get resolved that easily. It's a very good series that's running. So please do watch 2 or 3 videos per day, and you'll be able to catch up with all the 150 above videos that I have produced till now. Each and every video, I can guarantee you it will be worth your time. Okay, so please do like this video, try to share it with your peers so that I can get more subscribers, and try to share it in your Telegram and WhatsApp groups, relevant ones obviously, and request them to subscribe on my behalf. Okay, so thanks for showing all the love and support. I hope you keep doing that in the future. I'll try my best to bring the quality content that I always do. So okay, so take care and see you in the next video.